This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show from the Super Crowd. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I am so excited today to introduce you to an extraordinary CEO, Jilea Hemmings. But before we get there, I want to welcome you to the show, our audience, especially our first-time viewers. We recognize that the audience for the show is growing on every episode. So we know that there are some of you who are watching now that have never seen before. We invite you to stick around, watch the entire episode, and judge for yourself thoughtfully. If this isn't something you would enjoy viewing every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, we'd love to have you. We do some great things. We're always talking to great change makers, and oftentimes, like today's guest, they're doing something that you can participate in and you can share in their success. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. Jilea, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you are doing something that is really incredible. I want to just frame the discussion a little bit. That there's a little business called Amazon, that tried to do what you're doing. And after like 6, 7, was it a decade that they worked on trying to do this? They finally admitted that they'd been faking it the whole time, that they had low-wage people tracking the activity of the shoppers in their store to make a zero checkout store where you could just go in and shop and walk out with your stuff and it would automatically get charged to you. And you've actually done it. This is just amazing. So tell us, how did you do that?
Yeah, so we got inspired during the pandemic. I think that was a time when we all had the same challenges around, just getting access to our essentials and wanting to make sure that we could do it in the safest manner for so many people. We were looking at how many contactless ways could we get our needs met. And I knew what Amazon had done and thought, how can we truly build a better mousetrap, right? And ensure that we could give folks what they need 24/7, but make it be an offering that's different from like a traditional convenience store. You wanted to make sure that you could have products of all different types so we can meet you where you were and make sure that you had the opportunity to make a better, each time that you came in, make a better choice in the selections that you choose, but powering it with the latest in technology, right? And so utilizing AI to do that.
It really is impressive. I mean, for crying out loud, Amazon has a little bit of money. They've got some resources. You have done what they couldn't. That's impressive. And I love your social mission, that you're working to extend this to bring better food choices in a small square foot grocery store to neighborhoods where there's a lack of food, right? Food deserts. Tell us a little bit about that. Why was that important to you?
So I think it's important for folks to understand what a food desert is, first of all. So, in an urban market, that's where you live more than a mile away from fresh food options, and in rural areas over 5 miles. And so, one of the things I think that allowed us to really distinctively shift and be, in a lane of our own, separate from Amazon and the others, was that we decided to tackle food deserts. We knew that those were areas where traditional big box stores wouldn't come. But there was a great need because everyone deserves access to good food. That's our mission. And it doesn't matter where you're located. And so with our technology, where a big box store would never be able to deploy, we can, because we're able to reduce our overhead costs significantly with our technology so that we can deploy in smaller spaces. And so that's worked out really well for food deserts. We can go right into the community and grow with them, right? Show that there is actually a demand for better food options. And then as they continue to demand more, grow with them as the community grows.
That is, it's so noble. It's so noble. As you think about, well, you're raising capital on WeFunder, and I think that is wonderful. What drew you to that source of capital?
Great question. So, Nourish and Bloom was funded and started from our family and our friends that believed in us during the pandemic when everyone felt the world was going upside down. And I had this idea. I said, imagine that we can pair AI with, grocery and ensure that you could get access to what you need, whenever you need it, whether there's a pandemic, whether employees are out sick, that you always could have access. And they believed in us. And so with that, that's how we funded our first store, right? It was community funded, and it was friends of friends of friends who said that you could make this happen. This could really change the world. And, when we thought about our growth strategy, because we are now growing and expanding, we thought, okay, community first. But we wanted to do something a little bit stronger than just giving you a t-shirt for helping us to get to the next level, right? And so when we got connected with WeFunder, we thought this was great because investing in us was allowing you to also grow with us as well financially. And we think that's really important, especially in these communities where we're looking to help them land a stronger foundation. So the community built the first store, it built the second store, and we said, why not allow this to be the trend of how we raise capital moving forward?
That is just wonderful. And it is such a powerful tool to allow not just your affluent friends and connections to participate, but ordinary folks who can participate along the way and benefit from, in genuine ways, from their investment in your business. So that's great. Tell us about the locations of your first two stores and how those stores are doing.
Yeah, happy to do so. So our first store, our flagship location, was in Fayetteville. So that's about 15 minutes outside of Atlanta, Georgia. It was a food desert. The closest grocery store was 15 minutes away. We are now going into our third year. It's doing extremely well. We're also the first to provide 24/7 access to grocery, especially when I don't think anything is open now 24/7 anymore. We were really excited to make that be the stamp of where we offered our 24/7 shopping experience. And our second store is in Cascade, which is in the heart of Atlanta, historic food desert desire. And I think one of the key things is that food desert doesn't mean lack of resource. Food desert just means lack of supply, really. And so this community was super excited about us coming in. And we opened actually in the fourth quarter of last year, and the response has been amazing. They love the technology. All ages have really been excited about the shopping journey and wanting to step into the future of shopping. So it's really been great overall across both stores.
That's awesome. As you look at this technology, walk us through the experience of being in the store. How does that work?
Sure. So our technology is super cool. The whole purpose of us utilizing the latest in technology, and our goal with anything that we continue to develop and bring to the forefront, is that it's going to expand our reach, right? So that's always what we look to do, but also take away the parts of shopping that nobody likes. So nobody likes fumbling for their payment. Nobody likes waiting in line. So when you shop with Nourish and Bloom, you literally download our app or you tap your card to enter. There's a turnstile. So if you've ever traveled to New York, think of it like going through a subway turnstile. Once you're inside, we utilize computer vision and LiDAR, which is similar to what you see in a lot of cars, self-driving cars today, as well as sensor fusion, which is weights. And so as you're walking through the store, you can have multiple groups in there at one time. You just shop naturally like you would at any other store. Our system is tracking where you are, what you're picking up, utilizing vision. and then also looking at what the weight of the product that you're picking up is as well, so that if you happen to put it back, maybe not in the right place, we know that happens sometimes when you shop, that we can make sure your cart is accurate so that when you walk back through the turnstile when you're done shopping, you could be accurately charged. And so that's how it works. But for the user, it should just feel like I scan my phone, I put my phone away, I shop naturally, I pick things up, I put things back, the same natural shopping experience you have in any other store. The only difference is that when you walk out, you are not being charged. I'm sorry, you are not having to like pull out your credit card or anything to complete your transaction, and you don't have to wait in line. And the charge just happens automatically when you walk out.
This is really, really cool. I think a lot of people have for a long time wanted to be able to do this. Now you've created it. Give us a sense of the scale of a store and where you think the limits are with the technology on growing the size of the stores over time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we've learned a lot. We learned a lot from the folks that have done this prior to us. And so, as well as what we've learned, our key learnings over the last 3 years. And so, small is better. So this is why this is great for neighborhoods, right? So smaller footprints are better. When you get into larger footprints, that's where you start to have some of those challenges around how long it takes to process a transaction. So under 1,000 square feet is really our sweet spot of bringing stores into communities. And so, within that, we are able to really touch on every single aspect of a traditional store, right? So from a grocery perspective, every single category of grocery can be represented there. You don't have 50 different items that you can select from in a particular category, but you do have, 2 or 3 in each category to be able to choose from. And so we found that that's really simple, and that even limiting the amount of choices has also been beneficial, because when you give, anyone, all of us, we've all gone through it. When you see too many choices, it becomes hard to like make a decision, where if you only have, between 1 and 3, it makes it a little bit easier if you're coming in there for trash bags, right? And so we have made sure that every single category is represented, but we find that under 1,000 square feet has been the most beneficial size point for us as far as now in growth.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How many stores do you think? What's your vision? What's your dream? How many stores do you envision? 10, 100, 1,000? How many?
I feel like, why can't there be 1,000, right? So we definitely want Nourish and Bloom to be a household name. And so, we've opened up all the different models under the Nourish and Bloom corporate side, but we are going to be opening it up for franchising in the near future. And so with that, our goal for scale is there's no reason why there can't be 1,000 Nourish and Blooms. We want you to be able to have one within walking or very short driving distance from where you live. So our goals are definitely big, but we definitely know there's a huge need. That's the one thing that I will say. In this time of us opening, we've gotten so much interest from all over the country, from folks that are like, I live in a food desert, I need healthy food. So there is a huge need, and especially now with our food supply, we've seen what the challenge is just around getting eggs, right? And so imagine that across all different aspects of the food supply for so many people living in this country. There's a huge need, and so we don't have a limit on the number of stores. We have more a limit on let's eradicate food deserts around the United States.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I want to just point out, everybody, that we've got a URL on the screen right now. It's s4g.biz/NAB. And that is just a short link that redirects you to the WeFunder page, where Jilea is raising capital for Nourish and Bloom. So go check it out. Just visit s4g.biz/NAB, and that'll get you all the information you need to make a decision about investing. I would encourage you to check it out for sure. Jilea, we've got to take a quick break here, but folks, I've been here having this great conversation with Jilea Hemmings. She is the CEO of Nourish and Bloom, a high-tech small grocery store concept that is already opened 2 locations and is looking to open many, many more across the country. This is a super high-tech concept that is very, very exciting. I want to encourage you to check it out. But listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Jilea about her superpower. You don't want to miss this, so stick around.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding. The book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savikas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy.
SuperCrowd LA is the must-attend conference for impact investors, social entrepreneurs, and community builders. Learn from experts who've raised millions, including Jason Fishman of DNA, Sarah Hardwick of The Crowd, and Doug Wilmore of WorldTree. Plus, a live pitch with top investment opportunities. Early bird pricing ends soon.
Struggling to raise capital for your business? Unlock the power of the crowd with AI. My free guide, Crowdfunding Made Simple, walks you through every step to success. Get funded smarter, faster. Scan the QR code now for your free download.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Jilea Hemmings, the CEO of Nourish Bloom. She's raising capital for Nourish Bloom on WeFunder, and we've been chatting about that, but we're going to shift gears now to talk about her superpower. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. Jilea, you really are an impressive entrepreneur. I pointed out at the top of the show, you are doing something that Amazon tried for a long time to figure out how to do and couldn't pull it off. Kudos and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
What is your superpower?
Yeah, so my superpower is really turning vision into reality, right? I think it's really interesting. I always say that your name a lot of times tells who you are. And so my middle name is Ishe, which means life. And I always say I help bring ideas to life. And so I believe that is my superpower of just being able to take an idea and really turn it into a reality. This started out of a personal need, like how do we get access to better food in this crazy time? And, this was not a space that we were in prior, but, I just understood what it took to make it happen. And, I'm relentless in that. And that's always been, a superpower of mine. The running joke is that if you need $1 million idea, I can give you one in like a few seconds, right? So, and tell you how to get it done. But that is my superpower.
Oh, that's great. Years ago, I had, I think it was probably when I was in business school 35 years ago. Sorry, shouldn't admit that. But it was, I came across this great article that said, basically, one of the great measures of your success in life comes down to the ratio of ideas to execution. That, this proportion of things you think, I ought to do X. If your ratio of I ought to do X and that you never do is, too high, right? That's a problem. Your superpower is actually executing on the ideas that you have. I had to do this. I had to build a grocery store where people don't have to check out. It's all automated using technology. That ought to be fine. That ought to be great. And you did it, right? Amazing, amazing superpower. So I think this is really an important superpower. I wonder if you could give us an example of a story when you were actually able to execute on this, maybe something other than the Nourish and Bloom example, just so that we can have a little more context. What can you share to illustrate your superpower?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the first thing I would say to your audience, and I always advise, is that the hardest thing is getting started, right? And so, you don't have to have it all figured out. No one has it all figured out, but it starts with the idea and then you piece it together. But the hardest part is really just saying, I'm committed to doing this and I'm going to get started. So another example of something that I was able to build. So I was in the pharmaceutical space for a really long time, right? And I believe the best ideas come out of personal problems. And, I've learned that you got to make sure it's not only your problem because, we want to make sure you're building the right thing. But I'm sure we've all been in doctor's offices before waiting for your name to be called to go to the back. And then you'll see like reps coming inside and like, it seems like they're taking the time when you're supposed to be back there seeing the physician, right? And if they were utilizing a really antiquated process, they were using paper calendars still, right? I don't think anybody uses a paper calendar anymore, but they were still using paper calendars to coordinate lunches with reps and those types of things. And I just knew that there could be a better way. So, I created something called Best Time, right? And what that did was it coordinated doctors' timelines and their schedules with all the people that were looking and all the vendors that were looking to come and see them to ensure that A, they weren't disrupting the office, and B, a lot of the repetitive questions could be answered through the application. So in the rep world, they usually have a certain number of reps that they'll see during the day, whether it be the morning or the afternoon. So this program that I created was allowing all of the reps' schedules to be incorporated into this platform, no matter what company they work for, and then also understand the threshold for these physician offices so that if they've already had seen two and there was two more reps driving in that direction, it would reroute that other rep to another location where they still had the opportunity to see their target, right? So it was about how do we streamline business, but it came out of just seeing the frustration and knowing that this could be done better. Right? Did I know how to do it all at first? Absolutely not. Right? But then you start to piece the pieces together. Well, what do I need to make this happen? And obviously we needed to get a development team. So we did that. And I'm a non-technical founder. So you don't have to have a huge technical background to make that happen.
It's amazing what you've been able to do and accomplish. Yeah. I commend you for that. It's just so impressive. Now, the reality is, most of us, I think everybody to some extent, with maybe Jilea Hemmings as the exception to the rule, we all struggle with how do we take an idea and bring it to reality. Can you give us some tips to help us be more like Jilea Hemmings?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is when you have an idea, you want to make sure, number one, is anybody else doing it, right? And so I always say the best ideas come from how you can change or improve on something that's already existing. We just talked about with Best Time. What were they using? Paper calendars. Was there a way to, implement a different solution? Yes, through, designing of the technology that we did. So you want to see what is out there in the market is the first thing, and then see how you can make it different. It's really hard when you come up with a Me Too product to really make a name for yourself, but if you can innovate whatever you're trying to fix or solve for, that makes a huge difference. The second thing is, how do you push the limits? My phrase is always dare to fail up, right? So we always have been taught historically, you don't want to fail, but in business, you want to push those limits. You want to see how, what is possible? Let's test the possibility. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. You'll learn from that. But the amazing part of that is that what if it does work, right? You have now set the new standard. And so we've been really successful at doing that, even within Nourish and Bloom. We're now the first to take EBT in the United States, which has never been done before. We talked about Amazon. No other tech provider has been able to take EBT and AI frictionless checkout, but we did it. It took us 3 years, right? But it started off as, what if? Why can't it? Is it possible? It was a really daunting task, but we stayed the course. So, push your limits. Definitely look at what's there. And the last piece is find someone in your space that you're interested in going into that can advise you, because that will at least help with, guiding you and making sure you can maybe have some shortcuts to, lanes to avoid and lanes to definitely go down. But those would be some of the key quick points that I would say could help you on your journey.
Great tips. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, for crying out loud, this is so hard for all of us to figure out how to execute better. So thank you. Now, as we wrap up here, take a minute and tell people how they can learn more about Nourish and Bloom, how they can find the crowdfunding campaign on WeFunder. Tell them how they can connect with you or follow you on social media. You're a big deal and people want to, connect with you. If there's a way to get one-on-one with you that's appropriate, share that so people know what to do.
Sure. So the best way to follow us is from a social media perspective, we're really active on all the channels. So whether it be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as Nourish and Bloom Market. I will say if you want to book time directly with me on LinkedIn, Jilea Hemmings. I've been fortunate to have a name that's not really popular, so you should be able to find me easily. And to definitely stay tuned on our track of our WeFunder campaign, please definitely come to the website of s4g.biz.nab as well. So you can follow us on our website as well as on that platform to learn more about the investment opportunity.
Fantastic. Well, Jilea, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you every success with growing your business and succeeding, building something that is so revolutionary, so beneficial to communities that lack good food options. You're changing the game, you're changing the world, making it a better place. We want to see you succeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And
All
I look
righty
forward to
now.
connecting with the community.
All righty now. Let's do some good.